Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a totally fascinating and honestly kind of hidden intersection between high-level academia and blue-collar trades. You know, it turns out that an astrophysics degree from CU Boulder could actually be your ultimate skeleton key for hacking the Colorado state bureaucracy. I know, it sounds like a joke, right? But the truth is, buried deep within the state's electrical codes is a completely legitimate, fully legal pathway to bypass literally years of grueling apprenticeship requirements. So let's just dive right in and see exactly how understanding the universe can actually fast-track your way to wiring it. Here is the roadmap for today's explainer. We've got astrophysics meets the electrical trade, standard licensing roadblocks, decoding board rule 1.7c, waiving classroom requirements, claiming experience credit hours, and finally, your accelerated certification roadmap. All right, Section 1, Astrophysics meets the electrical trade. Okay, so at first glance, studying the life cycle of stars and, installing a commercial electrical panel, they seem worlds apart. Obviously, you don't need to calculate the trajectory of a comet just to pull wire. But when you look a little closer, the overlap is absolutely staggering. Think about it. When you study astrophysics, you're spending years mastering Maxwell's equations, vector calculus, and electrodynamics. Well, guess what conventional circuit analysis is based on? Those exact same principles. The physical realities of the electrical grid, from basic Ohm's law all the way up to complex circuit dynamics, are simply lumped element approximations of the physics you learn in a university lecture hall. So you aren't just learning how to pull wire, you actually already understand the fundamental forces moving through it. Moving on to Section 2, Standard Licensing Roadblocks. Now that theoretical knowledge is super powerful, but obviously the state of Colorado highly regulates electrical work for public safety. To really appreciate this hack, we have to look at the traditional path to becoming a journeyman electrician. Honestly, it's an absolute marathon. You're required to log a staggering 8,000 hours of field experience. To put that into perspective, that's about 4 years of full-time work. Plus, you have 288 mandatory hours of classroom training on top of that. But by contrast, the accelerated path we're talking about today slices that down dramatically to just 6,000 field hours and absolutely 0 additional classroom hours. Let me show you exactly how we erase those requirements. Which brings us to Section 3, Decoding Board Rule 1.7c. So the secret to this whole bypass lies with the Department of Regulatory Agencies, also known as DORA, and their state electrical board. Deep in their rulebook, there's a specific provision that grants them discretionary power to evaluate academic achievements. Board Rule 3 CCR 710.1.7c literally states, credit for the successful completion of non-accredited electrical courses or programs shall be credited 1 month of experience for 2 months of schooling up to a maximum of 1 year. Guys, this is your golden ticket. It means your university degree, even if it's not a formal electrical trade certificate, has immense legally recognized value in the eyes of the state board. Let's look at Section 4, Waiving Classroom Requirements. Let's apply that rule to our first major hurdle. If you register as a standard apprentice in Colorado, the state mandates 288 hours of specific technical and professional classroom training, and that's outside of your normal working hours. But because you already possess an advanced degree deeply rooted in physics and math, you can formally petition the board to just waive this 288-hour classroom requirement entirely. Poof, gone. You do this by mapping your specific CU Boulder transcript directly to DORA's stated criteria. It's like putting together a giant puzzle. For example, Phys 3310, Principles of Electricity and Magnetism, perfectly satisfies DORA's requirement for theory, calculations, and resistive theory. Then you've got Math 1300, Calculus 1, which easily covers the basic math requirement. And Phys 1120, General Physics 2, that hits electrical theory and practical application right on the head. By presenting this one-to-one mapping to the board, you're proving that your university curriculum goes way beyond their standard baseline, which is what actually grants you that 288-hour waiver. All right, Section 5, Claiming Experience Credit Hours. But wait, we are definitely not stopping at just skipping the classroom. Remember that board rule we literally just talked about? Because of it, your technical degree translates into actual field experience credit. The state legally allows you to claim up to 2,000 hours of practical experience. Let that sink in. That is the equivalent of 1 full year of grueling full-time work on a job site. By leveraging your academic background, the state credits you with a year of field experience before you even pick up a single tool. It's wild. When you really put this into perspective, the impact is massive. Instead of staring up at that terrifying 8,000-hour mountain, your academic credit slices 2,000 hours right off the top. So that leaves you with a much more manageable 6,000 remaining field hours. You are effectively fast-forwarding your career by an entire year and drastically accelerating your path to journeyman and subsequently master electrician status. Finally, Section 6, your accelerated certification roadmap. Okay, so how do we actually pull this off in the real world? Understanding the rules is step one, but executing the administrative steps flawlessly, well, that's what actually gets you the license. Here is your exact blueprint. Step one, you must obtain official transcripts from CU Boulder. And listen, this is absolutely crucial. They must be submitted in an official envelope sealed by the university. Do not open them. Step two, submit your initial apprentice application to DORA, which requires a super simple $30 state registration fee. Step three, formalize your petition to the board. You submit those sealed transcripts along with the course mapping document we discussed earlier, explicitly outlining how your core academic competencies satisfy their requirements under Rule 1.7c. And here is your new, beautifully compressed timeline. In month 1, you handle all the bureaucratic petitioning and registration, the paperwork phase. From month 2 through month 36, you're out in the field, working under a licensed electrician and logging your remaining 6,000 hours on an official DORA affidavit of experience. By month 36, which is a full year ahead of your peers, by the way, you apply to sit for the PSI Journeyman exam. It's a 90-question open-book test that takes about 4.5 hours. It has a $78 fee, and you only need a 70% to pass. And because you already understand the really complex theories behind the National Electrical Code, you'll be more than ready to conquer it. So what does this all mean? Well, we've just proven that with a little bit of regulatory decoding, an astrophysics degree can slice a full year and hundreds of classroom hours off a strict state apprenticeship. It really forces you to wonder if a shortcut this massive is just sitting there hiding in plain sight within the fine print of the Department of Regulatory Agencies. What other regulatory advantages are out there? What else is just waiting to be leveraged by someone willing to read the rules just a little bit closer? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this empowers you to look at bureaucracy not as a brick wall, but as a puzzle just waiting to be solved.